Hi, welcome. This is a studio photograph of the pastel drawing I'll be completing in this video, taken under good studio lighting. And the reference photo I use is from wildlifereferencephotos.com. Now, I asked a lot of my Patreon members what they wanted me to use to do the underlayers, and a lot said PanPastels. So I've got my sponges out, all various sizes of the soft tools, little spades and the finger size sponges as well. I've selected a few pans that you can see on the right hand side, and as usual I've got a little piece of printer paper, standard printer paper there on that right hand side. I use that as my mixing palette. And the benefit of pans that perhaps those of you who haven't seen any of my other videos is that you can actually mix them much more easily than other types of pastels. So it's kind of almost like painting really with pastels. You can get lots and lots of different shades, colors and variations. It's actually, you know, really unlimited to the colors and shades that you can mix yourself. I like to keep things simple. So once again, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, let me just run through what you're seeing on screen. I've got PastelMat paper that I've actually stuck to some rigid board. I show you videos of those where I'm just sticking that on there. It doesn't need to be, but it gives me a nice firm surface to work on. I've transferred my reference photo over just using standard transfer paper, and then I've blacked in the major stripes and the major dark areas with black gouache paint. Now that step is not strictly necessary. You'll see other videos that I've done where I don't use that step, but I've found over the couple of years I've been using pastels now that by painting in the blacks, number one, they stay in place when I'm adding this pan pastel, or I'm adding the underlayer, so they're not being lost. And number two, if you put the pastel in that's that black at this early stage, it always muddies areas around it and gets smudged and transfers. So that's why I actually paint just using gouache, and the reason I use gouache is because when it dries perfectly matte. There's no shine to it, so the pastels go on nice and easily. Now, as I'm using the pans and I'm going over the black areas, you'll notice that a lot of the pan colors are quite transparent, or they're not perfectly opaque anyway, so you can still see those black markings. So that really aids in keeping the position of those, so they're not being rubbed away at all. So they stay in position now through the whole drawing. Now, when I asked my Patreon members if they want me to do pans at the beginning stage, or use sticks instead, or just use pencils as I've shown in other videos, the majority wanted me to use pans so they could see things like this mixing technique. Quite a lot also wanted sticks, so I'm going to do the majority of the under layer in pans, but then I'm going to use sticks on top of that, so you'll get to see how I use both of them. Now, the sticks are more opaque, as you'll see on those stages. Now, with this underlayer, you don't need to get it perfect. I'm really interested in the tones at this stage. I know I'm using colors, but I'm interested more with the tones. I'm looking for the light areas and the dark areas as well. And I'm just creating a general underlayer. Now, instead of those small tools, because I find on PastelMat they kind of wear out quickly, these small sponges, these finger size sponges, they last a lot longer than those tools. And when I'm doing something that's fairly large, you can see I can squeeze the sponge together and create smaller strokes, just adding a small amount of a lighter color there just to lighten it up, so you can darken it, you can lighten it. The thing with the printer paper, it's a very slick surface, so it's the pan pastel powder is not going into the surface, so I'm actually lifting it off then with this sponge. The early stages of mixing, you know, you're adding one color and adding another color, and spend a bit of time actually on that stage of the mixing. Don't just hurry and rush the mixing to get something down on the paper. Actually take your time doing it. Now I'm not going to put in any extremely light areas with the pans because I want my general underlayer to be quite subdued. I don't want it to be too punchy yet at this stage because we've got lots and lots of details going to go on top. And if you're going to do a subject such as this, I'd advise you to watch the videos all the way through so you can see how I build up those layers, and then the layering technique will make a lot more sense to you. But at this stage, as I said, don't apply too much pastel. You can see the spots through it, as I've already mentioned. So you can see it, I'm not putting down much at all. And because I'm using that mid-toned grey paper, that's helping because that's acting as my middle tone, and my lights and my darks show up very well on there. Now because you can mix so easily with pans, you don't need to have all the colours. And I've got that my own wildlife art PanPastels set that's got just a basic startup set of colours. There's a couple in there for a background, a typical background colours, and a few browns in there as well. So we've got colours that you can use for underlayers such as this, and perhaps if you really like the pans, then like most people that try them out, then you can start to gradually build your setup. But as I said, you can darken them by using black, you can lighten them by using white or lighter colours, so you can get, even out of just a few colours, you can actually get a lot of different tones and colour mixes. But all I'm going to do now is just carry on building up this underlayer. In this section it's a dark area, but it's also quite blue. And down onto the bottom as well. I'm squinting a lot at my reference photo, so that I'm eliminating all the details when I'm squinting. When you're using these pan sponges, I clean them. I have a few on the go at one time, so I'll use one for light, one for mid-tones, one for darks generally. If you want to clean them, I've got a microfiber cloth just outside the screen shot, and then I just wipe them on there. And that takes most of the pastel dust off of the sponge. Here I've gone back to one of the smaller tools just because it's easier to use in smaller areas. It's quite a muted blue-purple down on the darker areas of the muzzle and under the chin or under the mouth area as well. I'm not too concerned about going too dark or too light at this stage. As I said, I'm just making up a map to make it a lot easier for me to follow as I put on the upper layers, because each layer is going to be a new layer of refinement, whether I'm refining the tone, so the lightness and the darkness, or the colors themselves, or refining by using details which I'll be putting on with pencils. Even when I'm using these tools, I'm going in the direction that the fur is growing or flowing. And once again, I'm being careful not to put too much pastel down. All pastel papers have got a finite amount of pastel, a limited amount of pastel that they can take into the tooth of the paper. So you don't want to fill that up too early. It's always better to put just a small amount of pastel down rather than a lot. Okay, that's all starting to really take shape. As I'm squinting my eyes again, I'm looking generally at the photo, the reference photo, but for you guys I've got the finished drawing, top left hand corner. And you can see when you look at the two that I'm looking at, creating that solid, three-dimensional form where we've got the lights, we've got the darks and mid-tones, lots of people get caught up with the details too early. That will come at a later stage. We need a good groundwork underneath first. As I said, colours, tones, you don't have to be perfect at this stage. If it was perfect now, I'd be doing something wrong, because I don't like to work in one tiny area and bring that to completion. I like to get a general feel of the whole area, the whole subject coming together. So rather than one area, I like to bring everything together, layer after layer, as I build on top of these initial underlayers. So that just generally, that's about as much as I'm going to do with the pans. You can take it a lot further than this, but I'm going to switch over now to the soft pastel sticks. If you're looking for even more great art sources, I've really got you covered. First off, I've got a Patreon channel that's been going well over a year or so, packed with around about 50 or more videos and new ones every month. Lots of the videos are many hours long, so you can see they're really in-depth. Subjects such as turtles, birds, elephants, big cats, you name it, is on there. So that's my Patreon channel. And also on that Patreon channel, before I go on to something else, I've got a secret Facebook group. So only the members are actually on there. It's the most supportive and friendly Facebook group that I've ever seen. I know I'm biased, but it really is. We've got 400 or 500 members on there, and they all help each other. So that's a great added bonus. That comes free with it. Also, you get line art every month as well. And we've just designed a brand new companion website for it. So if you've joined other Patrons and channels and you found it very difficult to navigate around, we got this free website that comes with it. All the videos are now just a single click away. It couldn't be any easier than it is. I've also got my site, jasonmorgan.co.uk, lots of tutorial videos, DVD discs and downloads on there. And if you're struggling for reference photos for your art projects, I've got some of those too. I've got 900 plus on my website, wildlifeart-online.com, and they will be copyright free for you, so you can paint and draw from them and sell your work with no copyright worries whatsoever. So hope you like those extra resources, and I'll see you all again real soon.